Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be working on a door handle for an antique barn. Our starting material is 1/2 inch by 1.5 inch by 6, and we refer to this as a full forging project because, as you can see, none of the original dimensions is in the final product. So every bit of this bar is going to get forged, compressed, manipulated somehow. We're going to be stretched out for a 1/2 inch handle, 2 twists, finials, square punch holes for the carriage bolts, and then of course a hot oil wax treatment for the final coating. There's going to be a lot of jig work involved with this, so that's one of the main points of the project. You get to see how the jig work works out so we can produce more of these to exact specifications. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so the first step we need to do is we need to stretch out the center for the handle. Before that, we need to have a controlled amount of mass in order to get the right length, and so therefore we have very crisp, clean beginnings and ends, which are made by butcher hot cuts. So there are offset edges, top and bottom, which come in and give a very clean cut there. That'll be, of course, on both sides. Traditionally, this would have been done with a tool that fits in the hardy hole and a second tool on a handle. The two of these we work together with 2 people in order to make the cut. Well, we don't have apprentices anymore, so in modern day times we use tools and jigging, which is called a smithing magician. That holds the bottom die and the top die, and then the piece can fit right in here, and I have a free hand to work the hammer, and that's how we get away without having apprentices. Okay, next is the power hammer fun. Since the material is 1/2 inch thick, 1.5 inch high, it's impossible to work that just with your arm. Even in the old days, it would work with the second person in a sledgehammer. Now, of course, we have our friendly power hammer. And, of course, this one is an Autobot. Alright, but to control the length, we have stop blocks. We have 1/2 inch stop blocks, so the dies will only come down so far. That way I can control the length and not overstretch it. Okay, so our next phase is to take the end mass and make the finial. And so it's going to start is we start off with this 1/2 inch mass. It'll then be pinched down the power hammer, offset to one side, bent over, and then give what's called a pure 90, where the mass is pushed back in on itself. And that way we get this end piece right here, a nice, good, clean, sharp, load-bearing corner. Okay, here's where we are so far. We have both feet, we have our spacing, we've got a 90-degree bend. Next we're going to make this bend right here. Now to get the exact same size each time and have our spacing properly, we came up with this jig right here. So we got platform, alignment bars, and of course the exact same fixed height there. So this will go on to here, obviously while hot. Clamps in place, and then bend on over. There we go. Okay, so we finished our two bends, and then because of the jigging, we're able to reproduce the exact 3-inch and 3-inch and 6-inch measurements we need to keep everything consistent. Next, we need to punch the square holes in here, and for that we'll be using the KA power hammer. And so we have our square punch for the hole, which of course will go right here, but to have it consistent we made a spacing jig, say the letter H, and that allows me to get right there at the exact same spot each time. Once it's started halfway from the one side, it is then put onto a backing plate and then punched from above to knock it out, and we get our little slug and of course our square hole. And of course the twisting. So the last thing is getting the two end feet, the two finials, nice and lined up and square. It's always been a little bit tricky, but it's actually fairly simple. All you need to do is clamp them down on the same surface at the same time, and then everything is nice and lined up. Let that cool, and a little cleanup work. Okay, so we've ground out the finial. So now we have final shape. We're just ready for the final oil finish. Okay, so the handles are finished. The finials have been ground into them. Last thing is the hot oil treatment. We have a mixture of beeswax and linseed oil here. I find that linseed oil actually helps with the finish as opposed to just pure beeswax. And then we have the pieces been heating up in the wood stove. Everybody goes straight in. And we have the nice hot oil treatment. We'll do a couple of repeat dips. And then let everything drip dry. That one's a little bit warmer. Here we are, all finished. We got the hot oil treatment, the finials, the twist. Look pretty good.